Hello, everyone, and welcome to Strong as Steel, Steel Sports Safety Month. And we're kicking it off with safety first this week. And I'm proud to be joined by the head of business development at GameBreaker, Kyle Eversgerd. Kyle, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Nathan. I'm excited to be here and talk safety in soccer and everything else along the lines of steel sports.
Yeah, I'd love for you to start with just tell us a little bit about GameBreaker, who you guys are and how'd you get started?
Yeah, so GameBreaker, it really, we operate under the motto of protect the player, protect the game. And our organization started, our founder and our owner was coaching high school football actually in Southern California and realized that there was a need for safety in the periods of practicing football when you didn't have equipment on. So think if you're familiar with the game of football and the opportunities you get to be introduced to the sport, primarily is through flag football and then the rise in 7-on-7 and these passing ability camps have really been growing at a tremendous rate. And our owner and founder saw this need for some sort of protection in the moments of practice or activities in football that weren't your traditional full padded, full helmet, full shoulder padded activities. So he pioneered and marketed the GameBreaker full headgear, which is our base model and our pro headgear that you see nowadays being worn in flag football and 7-on-7 football all across the country, as well as within tackle programs during their off-season programming and all the way up through collegiate and NFL teams. So the reality is what we've learned as we've evolved is we started as a football company, a safety company in football. And over the years, it's just been this authentic growth in providing protection and safety for those athletes that are participating in multiple sports. So as we've evolved our company and really focused on protecting heads and flag football and 7-on-7, we're now at a point where we work with multiples of sports. And really what brought you and I here together today is our soccer product, which we launched 2 years ago to put another element of safety to reduce the risk of head injury in athletes. And that's really what we mean when we say protect the player, protect the game. It means to us that if we protect players and we protect athletes while they're playing the game, whether it's soccer, whether it's football, whether it's wrestling or any other sport that they're participating in, we're ultimately protecting the integrity, the values, and the structure of the game that we all love. And we're very well aware we're not going to prevent any head injury. We're not going to prevent any injury on the football field or the soccer pitch. What our day-to-day vision and reality and what we do is to reduce the risk of that injury happening. And so, we're cognizant of what's going on in today's culture and in today's world when it comes to sport, and injuries are real and they're happening at an alarming rate. And it's our goal every day to help reduce that risk. And we feel like we're doing a good job, but it takes a lot of work to develop great products and also work with clubs and organizations that maybe don't see it the same way as we do or haven't seen, the growth in injuries the way that we're realizing they're out there.
What tests do your products go through, and why do you believe your products at GameBreaker make a difference when it comes to safety?
It's a great question. There's a lot of materials and products out there that claim a lot of things, and we don't do that. Point blank, that's not what we're in the business of doing, of creating a product, claiming it works, and putting it on athletes. All of our products go through third-party testing by the Virginia Tech Helmet Labs. The Virginia Tech Helmet Labs is considered the gold standard when it comes to the efficacy of products like ours that are meant to reduce the risk of impact, meant to reduce the risk, as I've said multiple times, of head injuries. And so both of our full headgear and our GameBreaker Aura, which we'll talk about further, our soccer headband, go through rigorous impact testing through the Virginia Tech Helmet Labs. The Virginia Tech Helmet Labs. Our first test and our continuous test of our Aura headband have resulted in 5-star ratings by Virginia Tech. Our Aura is the highest rated 5-star headband in that category. So we have the world's safest protective headband for the game of soccer. And we're really proud of that. That happened long before we ever sold one, or we've, given them to any athlete, or any athlete has worn one on the pitch. And so while that is the case, we're continuously trying to evolve the technology involved in our product to help, again, make the athlete safer. So, to reiterate, the Virginia Tech Helmet Lab is a publicly founded institute you could go there. It's open public information for you to see all the results of every headband that's been tested. And you'll see right there, as of today, right now, that our product, the GameBreaker Aura, is the #1 5-star rated protective headband.
Very cool. That's great.
Yeah.
And obviously, head injuries have a bigger spotlight in football in the NFL, but head injuries happen in a multitude of sports, and it doesn't happen to just professional athletes. It happens to kids of all ages, right? So, when you talk to parents and you talk to athletes, what is the one point you try to get across when discussing head injuries and the need for protection?
There's a few points there, Nathan. I think, we live in a world where data drives decisions. And, so you can look at it from that standpoint. The statistics are showing that, as you said, tackle football is #1 when it comes to head injuries, which makes sense. It's a contact sport. Ice hockey, and then traditionally 3rd or 4th in that list, depending on the study, but the most recent by the National Federations of High Schools, 3rd is women's soccer at the high school level. And so the data analysis is showing head injuries are occurring in high school soccer at the girls level, specifically in that instance. So I would say to anyone in the soccer space, the data doesn't lie. More injuries are occurring. It's happening. There's statistical analysis that shows that. Probably the non-data points that I can look to is just the feedback we've gotten from parents, coaches, league organizers, referees, of how many times they've had to stop a game, or how many players that they've lost due to a concussion or a head injury. That when you bring it up in conversation or in dialogue with these individuals, these stakeholders, if you will, in the game of soccer, they all agree. It's actually profound, as we started going down into the soccer space, how many individuals have said, "Oh, your product should be mandated for our girls. Your product should be mandated for our club, for our team." And, we sought out with the ambition to provide a solution to an issue. Again, I'll say it many times, reduce the risk. And we were kind of blown away by the general consensus of the response from everywhere, from players to parents, league organizers, coaches, and referees, like I said. So that's the second piece that I would say is just based off your experience as someone in the soccer world. Have you witnessed an injury? Have you seen it? How common is it? And then the third element when it comes to injury is, and we as starting as strictly a football-based company, a lot of the buzz and the media has been surrounding football, as you said earlier, Nathan, and the head injuries in that world. There's the element of CTE, the impact that is incurred by an athlete when they head a soccer ball. That is not the type of impact that causes that knockout concussion in that moment. However, what we don't necessarily have a full understanding of, and that's myself, that's the medical institutions, that's the medical world, is the long-term implications of repeated soft blows to the head, right? CTE. And so we've worked with a lot of soccer clubs that say we do a lot of heading in practice. We do a lot more heading in practice than we do in games. We have a product that can reduce the risk of the long-term head injuries, as proven by the Virginia Tech studies and testing that it's going to reduce the head impact on that athlete during those headers, during that gameplay, or during that practice. So it's not necessarily what's happening now. It's what are the long-term implications? Could you be doing something now to help reduce or prevent the long-term implications of head injuries? And I think so much of what we understand in sport today, it's human nature. Oh, there's an injury. It happened on the field. If you watch any professional sporting environment, I think it's very interesting to look at the difference between watching a Sunday NFL matchup compared to a Friday night football game.
Mm-hmm.
A player goes down, there is a mass amount of personnel that tends to them at the highest level. As you get lower in level of sport, there's less professional care that is surrounding that athlete. Those that need the most protection, most of the time are the ones that get the least, right? So as your brain is developing as a young soccer player, you should be protected more than if you're playing at the highest level and your body is in the best shape and you're able to control your body and the mechanisms at the highest level. And so I really, when you talk about injuries and we talk to people in the soccer landscape, we talk about those three things: the data points, the statistical analysis that shows head injuries are happening at an alarming rate, along with just the non-statistical data, the unknown, the CTE, the long-term implications, and then just in your own environment, how many players have you seen get a head injury? A referee told us not too long ago, I've stopped every game for the last 6 months due to some sort of, whether it was a header, whether it was a collision, whether it was a collision with the ground. And you start hearing that dynamic and you go, there's something here that we need to do to help protect the longevity of the game and these players participating in it.
Absolutely. And I want to get into your Aura soccer headband.
Sure.
But first, I know you have a demo in a partnership with D3O. So if you could, please, let's get into the demo.
Yeah, and before that, if you don't mind, Nathan, so the evolution of our company went from an idea to a concept for protecting heads with a soft, non-hard, no metal component head protection. And the reason being is, let's face it, if you're in a sport where two different teams are going after a ball, you're going to have collisions, right? It happens in every sport. And we sought out to find a way to make product that is soft and does not harm another individual if they're not wearing it, right? So if you think of hard helmets, whether that's in football, again, talking specifically to that sport, if I'm wearing a hard helmet and you're not, you're at harm if we collide. If I'm wearing a soft helmet that has no hard metal component parts and we collide, you're still okay, right? Because I'm wearing something that's soft that's not going to harm you. So that's really what we sought out to do. I mentioned Virginia Tech, and then as you said, and I'll get into yours shortly with the D3O. So D3O is a company based out of London, widely known across the globe for their impact protection materials. The same technology that is used in D3O that is in our soft, pliable, flexible headband is in a cell phone case. It's used in military tactical gear, right? So the same things that are protecting high collision, high rate of speed impacts is in our soft protective soccer headband. So the D3O partnership that we have is very important to us because that's what allows us to put the state-of-the-art technology and ultimately provide protection for those that wear it.
Kyle, if you could walk us through this demo. I'm excited to see this.
All right, Nathan. So this is the if as someone who's from the Midwest, we love our barbecue.
Oh yeah.
But you can't have good barbecue without the secret sauce, right? So this is the secret sauce, the D3O material that I described to you. That goes into all of our headgear and in particular our Aura soccer headband. So D3O impact protection technology. This is D3O in its raw state. If you look, it actually performs as a liquid when it's in its raw state. If I would to just set this right here as it's rolled up in a ball, and you and I continue our conversation, about a half hour, maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes from now, this would actually flatten out and look like a pancake by the end of this conversation. So what that tells you is the materials inside of this orange goo are in constant motion. So they're in constant motion from a molecular standpoint. If you manipulate this material slowly, it performs like a liquid. See how it performs? And it is adjusting to the impact applied to it. You go back and I, again, reform it into this material and I perform a fast impact to it. It breaks in half. That is a clean, separate break. What that tells you is the molecules that I said are in constant motion, they are instantaneously reacting to the impact or the force that it's applied to it. So when we talk about, head injuries, there's the linear, so the direct impact, and then the rotational impact. What I'm going to show you is how, from a linear direct impact, this material performs in a way it does to help reduce the risk of head injuries. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to set it here. And again, so you can see at home, I'm just manipulating it almost like it's the old silly putty, right? And I'm creating it in a, about as thick as it appears in our protective headband. I'm going to set it right here. Traditional rubber mallet hammer. And I am hitting that as hard as I possibly can. If you look, very little reaction, right? Very little movement to the actual materials. By the same accord, if I just take my finger and rest it on the material, I've created an indent.
Oh, yeah.
And it goes back to the concept of having direct response to the impact that's applied. So when you talk about a linear direct impact, our headband, the same material that's in here, is in our headband. So think about when you catch a ball and you're going to head a ball. The harder force you put into it, the harder the materials are going to become and react. If you want to have it settle and rest, the less the materials are going to be impacted, and they're going to adjust at all times. I mean, it's gotten to the point where we can take this. I've got it on my hand here, and I'm hitting that as hard as I can, right? All of the energy is being absorbed by the actual D3O material. So that's the direct linear impact. That's the direct blow to the head, if you will, where, as I mentioned, an example would be heading a ball. The other series of injuries that we see is on the rotational side. So I've got two pieces of material here. One is just your standard EVA foam, right? Okay. This is what is in some products that people label as being safe, but it's your standard EVA foam. This is that liquid D3O put into a foam concentrated material. This is exactly what is inside all of our protective headgear, right? So we took it from its liquid form and created a solid form of material that can be, flexible, pliable, and you can put it inside of a soft protective headgear. Hard marble, right? I'm bouncing it off of the desk here. Let me back up to show you a little bit. Your standard EVA foam, if I drop that and you watch the ball, the energy from the ball hitting this is going where? Right back into the ball.
Yeah.
So the energy is going back into the actual product or substance that is hitting this foam. That same energy rests perfectly on the D3O material.
Oh, wow.
By comparison, see the difference?
Very cool.
What we call that is the rebound effect. And that's the rotational forces that you see when you talk about the sloshing of the head and the brain on the interior part. We tell people all the time, Mother Nature is undefeated. This really shows an example of where majority of head injuries actually occur is when a head impacts the ground. Thus, Mother Nature is undefeated, right? You're going to hit the ground. There's nothing protecting your head between that and the actual surface of the ground. However, if you have what you might believe to be head protection on, that's just your standard EVA foam. There are some products out there, which is why it's important to have a product that goes through the rigorous testing by the Virginia Tech Helmet Labs. This is actually worse because the energy is going back into your head. So imagine this is your head hitting the ground, right? That energy in between the ground force is being absorbed. It's actually fascinating to really see that. And so that's really where we set ourselves apart in terms of our product alone, is implementing the D3O impact protection materials, because, you know, we see that it tests well and we see that it performs on the field for the athletes. Again, I think we're going to get into a little bit more about the actual headband and why we created it, but the D3O product is phenomenal, and we would not expect anything less in a product that we put out there that we want to reduce the risk of head injuries for athletes with.
Very cool. That's an extremely cool demo. Thanks for that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good stuff.
So we just had the demo, and now I want you to talk a little bit more about the Aura soccer headband. So tell us a little bit more about the features of the headband.
Yeah, so as I had mentioned earlier, Nathan, we are the market pioneer and inventor of the soft shell helmet, if you will, in football. And so we were first to create that. We understand as we've evolved, we saw the need for additional materials and products in soccer to help reduce the risk of head injuries. We weren't first in that space. And so what we did is we sought out to create a product that was number one when it came to safety, right? Which I've explained multiple times with our D3O impact protection technology and the 5-star rating from Virginia Tech, that we were never going to come out with a product that was not going to be the best. Mm-hmm. And so we made that happen. What's really unique about what we've done with the Aura and what we sought out to do, we got feedback from tons and tons of focus groups, soccer parents, stakeholders, coaches. And the reality was, while those that did understand there's a need for head protection, they were also the same to say, you know, my daughter or myself personally looked different. I was the outcast on the field, mm-hmm. right? They were the ones wearing the clunky, weird, full headband that didn't have any team logos. It had the company logo. And so, you know, our goal was to find a way ultimately to create the safest product possible, but then let's make it user friendly. Let's make it look like it's part of the soccer kit, right? And so what we're able to do is we've created a product that's thinner and it's lighter than majority of products on the market. And what we're really proud of is we do it in 7 different stock colors. So you're looking at a royal blue right now. I've got a pink right here with a beautiful, you know, heart and cancer awareness, you know, logo ribbon on it. And so the goal was to say, you know what, let's make a product that makes it feel like it's part of the team. And we feel like we've done that. And the feedback we've gotten from most of our users and those that are advocates for our product is that no longer having a head injury makes you the outcast, mm-hmm. right? The goal is to make it part of the team uniform. 7 different colors. It's lighter, it's flexible, and really what sets it apart is it's fully customizable. So I know, you know, Steel Sports, we've had the opportunity to create a few of these for you with your logos on them. So you really aren't eliminating the opportunity to put your brand front and center. You should never have to sacrifice team pride for safety, right? That's what we saw with the other products on the market was, let's say your team is all red, but the only option you have from providing protection on your head was a black headband that had a company logo on it. Mm-hmm. Well, we provide the opportunity for you to have a red headband that has your logo on it. Our headbands have no GameBreaker markings except for on the interior, and so it's really yours. It's your team's. It's custom made to your identity, and quite frankly, it looks good, right? If it matches your kit, perfect. And so the idea is to not only have the best product, make it thinner, make it more wearable, make it more conducive to playing in a full match and overtime and practices, but also make it look like it's part of the kit with custom logos, custom marks, and then multiple sizes as well. So that's really the details of the product. And we look forward to outfitting as many teams as possible with their logos and customization. We have several teams that use the back to put a player number on it, right? There's a variety of different ways that we can work with massive leagues, with small leagues, clubs. There's really no group that we can't create a customized model for.
Well, what are your plans to get the headband on more players? Not just this year, but in years to come.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. Our goal is to continue to spread the message that it's available. That we are constantly working on the technology behind it to make it safest. That's number one. To continue to work with clubs and teams. Obviously, coming off a pandemic this past summer, some of those plans that we had put in motion were suspended and halted just because of what was going on around the country. And so it's continue to spread the message and show that the efficacy of this product works and that you can make it part of your uniform. So we're really excited about, the partnership with Steel Sports and Safety Month and getting more of this information out there for everyone at every level, whether you're a participant, a coach, a league, or a club president or organizer. We want to hear from you. And I think that's one thing that sets us apart is we pick up the phone and we engage in conversations at all times just to learn more about what's going on in the space. We're never going to pretend we know what's going on in the soccer world, but we will tell you is we set out every single day to create products that help reduce the risk of head injuries. And that's really what we're all about. And if anybody has ideas or concepts or, you're experiencing head injuries or you've had them in the past where you're not feeling confident to go back out there on the pitch, like pick up the phone and call us and we'll help get you back out there and feel comfortable about, putting protection on your head.
Before we wrap up here, tell our viewers where they can go if they want to pick up one of our soccer headbands.
Yeah, if you just head right to our website, it's just simply GameBreaker.com. And at the very front there, they'll ask you what sport you're involved in. Click soccer, and you'll have the opportunity to learn more about our products and specifically the Aura headband and the different features and opportunities you have to customize it. So head to GameBreaker.com, and for the month of April, I know we're working together with Steel Sports to provide a discount code.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for being a part of our Strong as Steel Safety Month with Steel Sports, and looking forward to working with you in the future as well.
Nathan, it's been a pleasure, and look forward to hearing from many of the Steel Sports parents, athletes, and how we can help them, reduce the risk of a head injury.
Very good. Continue doing great work. Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks, Nathan.